This time I want to turn it over to Mr. Collins and Ms. Hewson as they share a little bit about scheduling. Thank you all for being here. Parents, thank you for making the sacrifice and the commitment to have your child here tonight.
Hello, I'm Mr. Collins, and I'm a little louder than I need to be with this microphone. This is Ms. Hewson. Ms. Hewson counsels students with last names A through J. I counsel students with last names K through Z. That's just how we divide the workload up in the guidance office these days. So if you'll look at this green sheet on the front where it says, or on the side where it says scheduling 2022-2023, we just have some basic information for you. Ms. Hewson and I were at the middle school last Wednesday and shared some a little more detailed information with your students. But we just wanted to share some things with you about how we schedule things here at the high school. Now, first of all, things are scheduled here by semester. Most of the time, and you can ask any of our link crew students back there as you take tours, most of the time, things don't change too much from one semester to the other. However, in certain cases, that does. If you'll look at example 1, if you're like me, you'll have to take your glasses off so you can see that because it's really small. But, or put your bifocals on it, one of the two. But anyway, or maybe you can see that. You'll see semester 1, which is term 1 and term 2, that would last up through Christmas break. Then this student, if you'll follow the 4th period block there, they had integrated science, and then after Christmas when they came back, they probably put in for a schedule change, and then they had introduction to engineering design. So that student now has a different class 4th period than what they had. And you can see that their class order then had to change some. You'll also see, we'll talk about that here in a minute, or right now their 4th period class, that is where lunch occurs. So depending on what class a student has 4th period, depends on what lunch they actually have. So you can see this student before Christmas, from the beginning of the year through Christmas, had first lunch. Then when they came back after Christmas, their class had changed because more than likely they put in for a schedule change request, and now they had second lunch in that term. Okay, so like I said, most of the times things stay the same. I would say at least 75% of our student body, things stay the same from one semester to the next, but occasionally there are changes. Sometimes that is because students put in for a request, and sometimes that is just because we schedule by semester, so we may have to balance out classes or something. But I just wanted to let you know that. So, because a lot of times that's a lot different from what you're used to in elementary school and middle school. Okay, so we kind of take it a semester at a time. That's from the beginning of the year through Christmas, after Christmas break, and afterward. All right, so Mr. Frost already talked about credits. I wanted to let you know that there's a transcript, of course. You adults probably know what that is, but it's a record of your grades from the time you start your freshman year all the way through the end of high school. Again, that's different. That's different than elementary and middle school, because now we're keeping a record, and you have to earn so many credits, you have to pass so many classes in order to graduate from high school. There's some information in that Google Classroom that your students signed up for the other day, or they've been invited to sign up for, that lets you know a little bit more about that. Of course, at the high school, all students, 9th, 10th, and 11th grade, so you're a freshman student, will have an English class, a math class, science and social studies class. Okay? And then we expect them to have a career pathway. That's one of our expectations here. You'll hear Mr. Swafford talk more about that. And then, of course, students do have an elective, so a class that they choose to have. Now, some electives are required, like health, PE, and 1 whole credit in arts and humanities. And there are choices, and we went over that with your students the other day, that they can make. But the only exception to that And this does not put a student in any kind of jeopardy as far as graduation goes, but the only exception to that is if they have a pathway at the CTC. Mr. Hartman will be sharing more about those programs, but if you look at example 2, that is the schedule that's there at the bottom. You'll see first and second period are together. They're the same class. Computer, hardware, and software maintenance. All right, so that class occurs at the Career Technical Center. Students are bused from here to there, and then they're bused back. So because of the transportation time, we have to schedule students in a block. So that they're actually, that class takes up two periods along with transportation. So if you'll see in that schedule, the student has English, math, an ILE class, and science and social studies. So there's no elective. There's no band, there's no choir, there's no art, there's no Spanish, health, PE, those type of classes. But for those students, they have plenty of room their senior year because they don't have to take science and social studies. They only have an English class and a math class their senior year. So we have lots of students who do that. No student has ever been in any kind of jeopardy as far as graduation because they have done a pathway at the Career Technical Center. Okay, so you may have questions about that if your student's interested in one of those pathways. Again, they're more than happy to take that. All right, now I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Houston.
Hello, everyone. So we don't expect that your student is going to pick their classes right now and that that's going to be what they want to be in forever. They're going to get to school and they're going to realize that maybe that pathway wasn't for them when they chose it, when they were in the 8th grade. So we do allow schedule changes here at Knox Central, and those can only occur on the first 3 days of each semester. We will make announcements, we will send emails, we definitely want students to know that they have that option. The only reasons why we may not make a schedule change is if someone requests because they want to change teachers or they want to change class periods. We really are looking for only at this level if they are looking to change career pathways or maybe they want to change their elective. We do have 3 lunches here at Knox Central, and as you notice on these schedules, depending on how we split up the courses, how we balance the lunches, they could be in first, second, or third lunch. And if you also notice, we have that 5th period advisory, and that's similar to homeroom, or maybe when I was in high school we called it an advisor-advisee, but that's a 30-minute class period where we work on our Leader in Me curriculum. And students, once your freshman starts school here, the ILE teacher that they have follows them all 4 years. So they get to make, they get to build a little family while they're here. And then each 9th grade ILE classroom has a link leader, and those are our wonderful students in the back with their green shirts. And they're assigned to every freshman ILE class. They meet weekly, they work on some team building, they mentor your students, and they're a great resource for getting your students acquainted with Knox Central.
Okay, so just a little bit more information about pre-registration. Again, your students came here for a career showcase on the 31st of March and the 1st of April. And then we met with them on Wednesday the 13th, just recently. And in that meeting, again, there's a presentation that's in the Google Classroom that you can see all the information that we presented to those students. A copy of this is also in the Google Classroom, or will be. So if you lose it or misplace it, you can see that. And we also have a copy of the presentation packet that we used during the sessions at the middle school for you to be able to see. But there's a join code down here. As far as we know, we've gone through all 8th grade students, even those who were signed up for Inspire, and invited you to the classroom. So if you're not part of the Google Classroom, then please check your email, your student email, your Knox County email, and you should be in there, but there's a join code. Okay. So If you're interested, make sure you look at your student's account, and you can see that. You can see exactly all of that information. There are videos in there about each of the career pathway areas that Mr. Justin Matlock and the Media Club made for us this year. So you can see some of the things that students do in each of those pathways. You can hear interviews from teachers. You can hear from students who are part of that pathway. So that's some great information for you, especially if you're still wondering which pathway to pick. So after this, after our presentation is over, then Ms. Houston and I are going to be back here at the back table where you have the sign-in sheet. By the way, if you haven't signed in, we ask that you do that before you leave. That just lets us know who's here. We just need a student name and a parent name, preferably. But anyway, we'll be back here and we'll be set up. And again, Ms. Houston's letters A through J, last names I'm K through Z. And we have copies. That's what the pink sheets were. Some of you may have grabbed by mistake the blank ones. That's okay. But we have ones that if your student has already filled out something in Google Classroom, then you can see what they've chosen. And then if not, you're welcome to, again, sit down with them, look at those things, and talk to them about choices that they can make. All right, Mr. Frost has already talked about important dates. Make sure, too, there at the bottom that you like the Knox Central High School Facebook page. We put lots of information on there. We put pictures of students and student activities, student accomplishments, some things that we've had, like Mr. Frost mentioned that Jack placed first at the Skills USA for IT Tech. We put that on there, so we celebrate students on there. We give important updates and announcements there. So if you have Facebook, go and make sure you like that, so that can be another avenue where you can get information. All right, we're going to turn it over now so you can hear more specifically about some of these areas. And I think Mr. Trosper is going to be first, and he's going to talk to you a little bit about academic success here at Knox Central.
Thank you, Mr. Collins, Ms. Houston. Good evening, everyone. My name is Josh Trosper, assistant principal. I used to deal more on the discipline side of things and work with students. This year, I moved into a role where I'm working more with teachers and curriculum items. So I want to talk to you for just a few minutes about academic success. Of course, we could go very deep into this, and I don't want to bog you down, so I'm going to be pretty brief. The main goal of Knox Central High School is to get our students ready for life after school. 4 years. And you will not believe how quick it is. And I know several parents in here who have students who have graduated or remember when they were ready to walk across the stage. We'll be practicing here in just a little bit, a few weeks for graduation. So I know it sounds like 4 years is a long time, but it is not. So a couple things about the freshman year. Pretty much every year up to this point, you've either taken K-Prep or now it's called Kentucky Summative Assessment. Now, you've probably been doing a lot of review, getting ready for that test. Big change, freshman year, you don't have Kentucky Summative Assessment or K-Prep. So a lot of what you're going to be doing next year is getting ready, getting acclimated to high school. We do have a couple of assessments that you will take, one being the CERT test. And the CERT test is kind of a practice getting ready for ACT. You'll hear a lot about ACT. So we'll take the CERT very early on in the school year. That will help us in determining intervention, which is, if you're falling behind a little bit, that'll give us some ideas on how to get you caught up. Another assessment that you'll be working on is a state-mandated civics test. So that'll be towards the end of the year. That's a graduation requirement. We'll take that, try to get that done in the freshman year so you don't have to worry about it anymore. So, again, ACT, a couple of numbers I want you to remember. 18, 19, and 20. 18, 19, and 20. 18 is the benchmark in English, 19 in math, 20 in reading. That's the numbers you want to shoot for when I talk about preparing yourself for college and life after high school. 22 credits, you've heard that a couple of times before. You'll keep hearing it, 22 credits to graduate. The CERT test, again, I mentioned intervention a minute ago. One of the big changes we made this year is we had been basing intervention placement on the math test taken at the end of the 8th grade year. We moved away from that this year. We wanted to let our freshmen get acclimated. If they needed some additional support, we do that in the classroom, in a co-teaching. We have a couple of teachers in the classroom working with students to get them brought back up. So you have that first semester to really work and get acclimated. When you take that winter test on the CERT, if you're a little bit behind, you may actually get put into an academic success lab class where you work to get caught up. We're trying to eliminate that as much as possible and do as much of that in the classroom as we can. So, you'll hear, I don't want to steal Mr. Parton's thunder, but one of the things you'll continually hear us say is get involved. And I want to talk about that from the academic side. You get involved, you're more apt to succeed and do well, not only for yourself, but for your teammates, your peers on the academic team, on the esports team. Mr. Hartman will go into those more, but in a minute. But every week you'll have grade checks, and if you're not making the grade, you're sitting out until you do make the grade. And so I know if you play sports in middle school, you're involved, you know about that. But as you get into high school, there's a lot more accountability. You want to be accountable to both yourself and your teammates. So set the standard when you first get here and don't fall behind. It'll make life very, very difficult if you start slipping behind in that freshman year. So I'm going to turn it over now. Mr. Hartman is going to talk to you a little bit about attendance and behavior.
Thank you, Mr. Josper. Going around the room, I see a lot of familiar faces. Steve Hartman, Assistant Principal, Knox Central High School. This is year 24 for me at the Knox County School System. Coached and taught here for 10. Did 12 years at Flatlick Elementary School as principal, and now back here as assistant principal. And my day-to-day operations here are focused on the students, any concerns, any issues they may have. I can go to on that. The importance of getting involved, getting in some type of organization or club, having pride in your school. This is our community. This is where you grow up. This is what we've got. We have one of the nicest facilities in this area. Okay? Take advantage of it. You got to have a good attitude. You got to surround yourself around good friends. You know, I wish I'd say, hey, everybody that comes in here, you're going to follow every rule and every requirement we have. On a good day, that's what we want. But we know mishaps happen. That's what I'm here for. Okay? I'm here to help you. If you struggle, you got a weakness at that, and we got help for you. We've got a lot of support here. I couldn't talk enough about our lead crew in the back of the room. Miss Casey does a wonderful job. Partner Corps, we just have so many resources here that parents that we didn't have when we went to school. I mean, besides 60 certified teachers, we probably have 50 support staff here on top of that. You know, so we have a lot of things for you. We're excited, and you know, the thing that we're Mr. Frost say a lot of here is we are safe. At the end of the day, we want to be safe when we come to school. That's what you want. You want your child to be educated, but at the end of the day, are they safe? I've got two that go here myself. Mr. Frost, Mr. Trosper's got them coming up. You better bank on it, that that's our number one priority. Safe, responsible, respectful, and always like we are, KC. So, but that being said, I'm going to be lingering around if you have any specifics. I'll try to answer that the best I can. So we're just glad that everybody come out, and we appreciate you guys being here. Thank you.
Hello. Hey, I'm Robbie Swafford. I'm a curriculum coach here. And my role, as far as CTE goes, in career education, is enrolling students into the state database, monitoring their progress as they go through their course of study of their selected pathway, assessment when it comes time to be assessed. I work with that with the students. Additionally, I get to the unique opportunity of presenting awards to those students who achieve. I'll be referring to the career pathway offering sheet that you have. A few of the courses, as students come to high school, not only are they going through a course of study to receive a diploma, they have the opportunities to select a career pathway to invest their time in with their electives. And as they do that, each pathway has a course of study and a sequential order of classes that they can take. And the career pathway offerings are listed on that sheet. If you take a look at that, historically, I know Mr. Collins said that your child has attended the Career Pathway Showcase, and they got to visit students within the career pathway. They got to meet the instructors and try to make a connection with those individuals. And they got to kind of mill around, ask questions, and see some information presented to them during the Career Pathway Showcase. They also got to register for what they thought they wanted to enroll in career pathway-wise. And then the Panther Way thing we have in here. So I think we're doing good with communicating and giving the opportunity for questions and inquiry. The courses on the career pathway sheet, several of these courses are offered within our building, and you can see agriculture, biomedical science, business marketing, engineering, health science tech, family consumer science, and JROTC are all offered in this building. So they won't be traveling to the CTC building. But there are some classes that are listed that are a part of the CTC program. And Mr. Halpern's here. He's going to talk to you about what that day might look like if your child's going over to take courses there.
I'm the principal at the CTC. Formerly, we were called the Area Technology Center. We were a state-ran facility. I've been the principal there for 16 years now, and we're now a part of Knox County Public Schools. And we're excited about that. I've been a Panther my whole life. My wife was a Panther. My child was a Panther. And we're excited to be back in Knox County. How many of you saw earlier in the year that the governor was down in our building and we got a big fat check for a new facility? Anybody see that? No, well, some. The state gave us Knox County a $10 million check for a project on renovating and making our school what we want our school to be for Knox County students. Does everybody know where we're located? If I would have said ATC or CTC, many of you, when I was in school, that's not what we called it. Does anybody remember what it was called? Trades or vocational? And we're no longer that. We're beyond trades and vocational. We're offering so much more. And as this new building comes in, we're going to be offering even more in our building. Mr. Frost mentioned we had a computer science student who was a sophomore this week go and win the state. Awesome accomplishment. But if you're interested, let me say this. We're here in college. All right, and college is important. I went to college. I wish I'd have taken more classes at the CTC, at the trade school than I did. You know, that's a regret I have, and I wish I could go back and take more of it. But I was going to college. All right, what do we go to college for? We don't go to college to be students forever, do we? What do we go to college for? Career. All right, so what better place to start that than at the CTC, the Career and Technical Center. We want you to come to us, begin learning the fields that we're teaching, and we want you to go on to college. That's what it's all about. We're getting a new Southeast Community College right here in Barterville at the old nursing home, blocks away from us. That's what we want you to do. We want you to go on. All right? It's all about a career, about what you're going to do when you leave here. And if you're interested in welding, that's what we've got. We offer state welding certificates. We have health science programs that we offer the state certified nurse aid test each year. We offer the pharmacy tech pathway that's new that we're offering this year. We offer ASE certifications for our students in automotive. We offer nationally recognized certifications for our electrical students, for our carpentry students. Our computer science program, we offer the A+ certifications in there. Trying to think if I forgot any. There's a lot going on, okay? And I know some of you are thinking right now, I'm going to college, I don't need any of that. All right? A lot of people are just like me who said that. And I did say that, but I wish I hadn't. I wish I'd have taken some of the classes at the Career and Technical Center. But big things are coming. Hopefully sometime during your sophomore year, you'll look at our building, and those of you that said you knew where it was, how's our building look on the outside? Looks rough. I'm just going to tell you. Don't judge us by what our building looks like on the outside. Judge it by what's going on the inside. And in just a year and a half or two, we're going to have the best building in Knox County. I can promise you that. So we look forward to having you. I see some faces of students now, and we're excited. We're excited about the opportunities that we're going to be able to provide for you all. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to transition in just a minute. I appreciate y'all's attentiveness and paying attention, a lot of information. I kind of want to sum up just a few things that were mentioned. 22 credits to graduate. That's 4 English, 4 math, 3 science, 3 social studies, 1 arts and humanities, 1 credit or 1 year's worth of PE and health. That leaves 6 electives. That's where your career pathway comes in. So you may end up with 4 classes in your career pathway. Okay? So that is the gist of the schedule. We have great programs here. We have great opportunities here. We just skim the surface. And I don't want you to think we're just offering stuff. I want you to understand that we are state competitive in many of these programs. We excel in many of these programs. We don't just go to region or hope we get to go to region. We go to region with anticipations of going to state. And we strive to get better in all areas all the time. We are very proud, and you should be very proud of Knox County Schools, and specifically Knox Central High School. We have great programs, and we continue to work hard and build and expand those programs. Like it was mentioned, we offer more Kentucky High School Athletic Association programs than any high school in the 13th region. We are a successful place building on the pride of our community. And we want you all, class of 2026, to rally around that and buy in and come in, and let's continue the great things that have already started. So I started the meeting off with saying, let's dream. In Leader and Me Talk, one of the habits is begin with the end in mind. See, you're beginning, class of 2026, you're beginning your journey right now. So what is your end in mind? When you walk across that stage in 2026, hopefully I'll get to hug you around the neck. What do you want to have accomplished by that point? Do you want to have benchmark ACT scores and years worth of college classes under your belt going to college? Do you want to be the next state winner in one of the Skills USA competitions at the CTC school? What do you want to accomplish? And then we set little goals to build to that. What are one of those little goals? Come to school every day. Come to school when it's raining. Come to school when it's cold. Come to school when you don't really feel like it. Show up on time. Make the grade in that class. Because that grade in that class will be posted to the transcript. And the transcript will go to that trade school that you're trying to get in at, or the vocational school, or the college you're trying to go to. Commit to a team and be there faithfully for your team. What goals do you have that you want to accomplish as you begin? And the end in mind is walking across that stage in May of 2026. What are those goals you are setting for yourself between now and then? Cum laude, top 10, many goals, many opportunities. At the beginning I said it starts now. Because each thing we do builds on the next thing. And that is totally different than where you've been or what you've been doing up to this point. Take advantage of these opportunities. At this time, we want to kind of transition. We're going to do this in two ways. We're going to split up students and parents. So I'll walk you through everything that's happening here in just a minute. I'm going to ask the students to walk out, and they're going to gather with Link Crew and go out in small groups to tour the building. While they're doing that, then we're going to invite the parents to talk to any one of us who have spoke here, Mr. Prosper, Mr. Swafford, Mr. Halcomb, Mr. Parton, Mr. Collins, and Ms. Houston. Myself will all be here. We can answer any questions or go deeper in any detail of information you may have about your child. And then if you as adults want to take a tour, we have our partner corps here, and they'll be willing and able to give you a tour of the school here. So after that, You know, you may want to talk to your child about what they signed up for, what they marked as their career pathway, what they chose for their classes, honors classes, or the regular English class, or the regular Algebra 1 class, what they selected for that. So have those conversations. Feel free to pick up any gear we have, and when you're finished, when you feel like you've accomplished what you need to accomplish with your child's schedule, you're free to go after that. But